One day you are feeding your baby purees and bottles, or maybe you're still nursing, and everything feels like you finally figured it out. And then comes the finger foods stage. I'm Stephanie Hope, mom to a toddler, and this is The Organic Mama. Today, I want to talk a little bit about Little Spoon Biteables, because this is a service that I use when my toddler entered the finger food stage. And I want to give my honest thoughts. This is one of those stages of parenting that feel really exciting and I don't know, maybe it will be a little easy until you're in it and it's chaos. At least that's what happened to me. When my daughter started to transition into finger foods, I had a million questions. How much food should she be eating? What counts as a balanced meal? How do people do this 3 times a day with snacks for the rest of their lives? So when I found Little Spoon Biteables, I thought this would be a really easy way to get some of that mental load off of my plate. And after using them for a little over 3 months now, I have my thoughts. So first, what exactly is Little Spoon? Little Spoon is a toddler and baby food delivery service that is designed to meet your baby where they're at. Instead of focusing on one category, they offer blends, which are their baby purees, biteables, which is the introduction to finger foods, plates, which are full toddler meals, and they also offer snacks. And today we're going to talk specifically about their biteables. So what are the biteables? They're basically a Little Spoon line that is one step above their blends, which, as you know now, are their purees. Their meals come pre-portioned and pre-cut into pieces that are supposed to be appropriate for the current age of your baby. What immediately stood out to me is that they look like actual meals and not just like random little bits of food that you're feeding your baby. I know, that sounds weird, but when my daughter first started eating finger foods, it really was just like an array of random foods that I was putting together, and it just felt a little chaotic for me. I'm talking like pieces of bananas and random mashed blueberries and a few pieces of eggs that I cooked. It just didn't feel substantial. These meals to me look intentional and well thought out. There are protein, vegetables, and carbs. It looked really balanced and whole, and I just really appreciated that. 2 reasons that I decided to try Biteables is, one, I genuinely had no idea what to feed my daughter. I never thought about it as a human to think about what to feed a smaller human, but it turned out to be very difficult for me to kind of figure out, what do babies eat? Yes, what we eat, but different, you know? And the other reason was because it was very mentally exhausting for me to try and figure out what I was going to feed her every day. And not just one meal. I'm talking breakfast, then a snack, then lunch, then a snack, and then dinner. And somehow you're expected to make all of these meals so perfect and so nutritious and just balanced and just a fantastic meal every single time. And that is a lot to put on a parent. And then I started second guessing everything. Am I giving her enough protein? Is there enough iron in this food? Did I cut it correctly, or is she going to choke and die? Is this enough food? Is this too much food? I wasn't looking for something to replace homemade meals. I was looking for something to help me on those days where I just genuinely could not think of anything to make my daughter, or I was just too tired to cook anything. So now let's talk about what the meals were actually like. Well, the first thing I noticed is that they definitely feel intentional. The textures are soft, the pastas are cooked correctly, and the pieces were the perfect size for my daughter to be able to grab as she's practicing her pincher grasp. And most of the foods feel very appropriate and approachable for a baby who's just learning how to chew. I also really deeply appreciated that everything was already cut, because cutting foods into teeny tiny sizes was a lot. It sounds like a tiny thing, but it really did save me a lot of time. Although, I will admit, as a first-time mom, I may have cut some of the biteable foods into smaller pieces because I was just so scared that my daughter couldn't chew it. She was fine, but that is something I wanted to confess. I do fully acknowledge that was a me problem and not the Biteables portion sizes. So some of the meals we tried include the mini white mac and cheese, mini cheesy pasta, mini beef ravioli, turkey kale meatballs, breaded chicken and vegetable bites. I definitely noticed most of these meals becoming some of my daughter's favorites, and other ones she wasn't really into. The biggest surprise for me was the mini white mac and cheese. I did expect her to like it. I mean, it's just pasta and cheese, but she loved it. And it was just such a surprise to see, because obviously she's only ever had purees before, but to see her enjoy something so, I don't know, human was really exciting as a first-time mom. The noodles themselves stayed very soft. I guess I'd say al dente. Never felt like they were too mushy after reheating, which was great, and I really appreciated that. The sauce also had vegetables blended into it, so it adds that extra nutrition without it feeling like it's healthy, which obviously my daughter doesn't care about when she's like, 12 months old, but still. The mini beef ravioli was also a huge hit with her, which also surprised me because as of recently, she still isn't a big fan of meat. So the fact that she was so obsessed with the mini beef raviolis was very interesting to see. I just overall really appreciate that the meals felt like real meals and not just snack foods or, random fruits and vegetables that I put on a plate like a charcuterie board. It just felt like something substantial that I'm giving her. One meal that did not go well with my daughter was the turkey kale meatballs. She did love the zucchini that comes with it, but absolutely hated the meatballs. And I do think that it's because my daughter does not like meat, but I thought they were very good. I did try them myself. One thing that I did worry about with these meals is whether they were going to reheat properly. My biggest concern was that they would get either too mushy or worse, dry out. And I didn't want my daughter to be eating something that would be too dry and, I don't know, cause her to choke or just not enjoy the food. But this was not an issue that I ran into with any of their meals. And that's something I really enjoyed. So let's talk about the biggest benefit. And to me, that is confidence. Biteables gave me a visual representation of what an age-appropriate meal is supposed to look like. I learned a lot from Biteables and was able to use those meals and create more from that, which was invaluable to me as a first-time mom. So instead of constantly wondering, am I doing this right? Am I giving her the right foods? I was able to look at these trays and think, okay, well, I can make something like this. I can make something similar to this. And I started to learn, okay, what are good protein, vegetable, carb combos I can start to put together as well. The second benefit I experience is convenience, obviously. It is so convenient to have these meals in the freezer and I can just reheat them whenever I'm feeling too tired to make my daughter something, or I have run out of ideas of what to give her for the week and I just want to get it over with and get it done because I know she's going to enjoy it and I know it's good for her. I also really appreciated, which stays in the line of convenience, is that they're easy to clean up and serve and prep. It doesn't take a lot of effort to make these, and also the dish, like the trays that the food comes in, is recyclable. So that is a big plus for me. But even with this convenience, it never felt like I was taking a shortcut or feeling like I was lazy for using these meals. It felt like I was still giving her intentional, balanced, nutritious meals that taste good. A lot of parents ask me how Little Spoon compares to Nurture Life, and they're honestly pretty similar. Both of them are meal delivery services. Both offer balanced meals. Both focus on convenience, but I personally felt that Biteables were designed specifically for that transition into finger foods from purees. The textures felt slightly softer, the portions felt very approachable, and the meals felt a little bit more beginner friendly. Nurture Life feels a little bit more toddler oriented to me. Now, that's not necessarily better or worse, it's just different. So if you're in that stage and you're still nervous about choking hazards or questioning what to feed your baby, Biteables might be a great way to start. Now let's talk about the downsides, because it's not perfect. The biggest downside is obviously going to be cost. It's no secret that these services are going to be more expensive than making homemade meals yourself. If you love meal prepping and you have the time and energy to cook everything yourself from scratch and cut everything yourself, this is probably not a service that you will benefit from. The second issue I ran into is meal rotation. After a while, I definitely noticed that we were cycling through the same meals over and over again every week. Obviously, my daughter didn't seem to care, and there is probably some benefit to routine and eating the same meals. But what I was running into is that when my daughter wasn't liking any of the meals, that was less options that I had available to order from. So it starts to make the selection a little bit limiting. From the time that I was using Biteables, I did not notice any new meals come in. I don't know how often they change, if maybe it's seasonal or yearly or something. I'm not sure, but I don't think that it is often enough. And I do wish that there was more new options that frequented their selections. Last downside for me is the packaging. And what I mean by that is the food arrives safe and cold, very cold, because it's well insulated. But the box itself, because of how much food I would order, is quite large. As you can see here, it is quite a large box. And the packaging on the inside is very inconvenient to dispose of. The cold packs require very specific disposal, or you might just feel a little bit guilty about it. And the insulation is also kind of a pain to figure out how to get rid of. This is a downside for me, but I do want to note I have tried many meal delivery services over the years of my life. They all are exactly the same when it comes to packaging. This is packaging that needs to be there because this is food that is traveling to you, and it needs to be safe and well insulated. So this is not something new to Little Spoon, it's just what needs to be done. But I think it's important to mention, just in case you are somebody who's very finicky about what might feel like waste to you. So who do I think Biteables are good for? Well, for me, it would be parents who are new to this finger food world, parents who are doing baby-led weaning and feel overwhelmed by the process, busy families who need just to have backup meals just in case, and babies that are learning self-feeding. Basically, it's great for anybody who is stuck in that in-between phase of purees and solid foods and just need a little bit of help trying to figure this all out. So, are they worth it? For me, yes, but not because it replaces homemade meals that I have to cook, because they don't. I still cook for my daughter very often. Every day. But they did reduce the mental load of trying to figure this all out. That was the most valuable part for me. There were some days that I didn't have to even think about what to feed her. I just used Biteables. I didn't have to plan. I didn't have to cut vegetables into teeny tiny pieces. I could just pull a meal from the fridge, heat it up, and give it to my daughter. If you've tried Little Spoon Biteables before, let me know in the comments what you and your baby thought about it. Did they like any of the meals? Did they hate all of them? And if you are currently in the finger food stage and you feel like you are completely winging it, just know that you are not alone. We are here with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.